I used to think the worst night of my life would come from something ordinary. A car crash, a diagnosis, a phone call at 3 in the morning. I never imagined it would arrive wrapped in string lights and champagne at a party I helped plan myself. Alina. Marcus, are you back here? The caterer said you wanted to check the wine list before the toast. Sophia. Elena. This really isn't a good time. Elena. Sophia. Why are you back here with him? Why is his tie undone? Why is there lipstick on his? Marcus. Elena. It isn't what you think. Elena. It's exactly what I think. I can see it with my own eyes, Marcus. I don't need you to narrate the scene for me. Sophia. Don't make this into something ugly. Not here. Not in front of everyone. Elena. I'm not the one who made it ugly. You two did that quite a while ago from the look of it. I just walked into it wearing the wrong dress at the wrong moment. Marcus. We'll discuss this properly. At home. Later. Elena. There is no later, Marcus. There's no home to go back to. Not after this. Narrator. He smiled. That's the detail I could never quite forgive. Not the kissing, not the lie, but that small, careless smile, like he'd been caught doing something no worse than sneaking a second dessert. Elena. Quietly. 3 years, Marcus. 3 years. And this is the version of you I finally get to see clearly. Sophia. For what it's worth, Elena, this wasn't planned. It just happened. Elena. Things like this don't just happen, Sophia. Somebody makes a choice. Then another choice. Then a dozen more. Until it looks like an accident from the outside. Marcus. You're being unfair. You've been distant for months, Elena. Working late. Always tired. Always somewhere else in your head, even when you were sitting right across from me. Elena. I was tired because I was carrying both our lives on my back while you complained about it. That isn't an excuse, Marcus. That's just a fact you're trying to dress up as one. Marcus. Believe whatever you want to believe. Elena. I finally am. Marcus. Let's just talk about it now. Right here. Since you clearly want an audience. Elena. I don't want an audience, Marcus. I want you to have some shred of decency. Marcus. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have everyone's attention for a moment. My fiancée Elena and I are finished. As of tonight. Crowd voice 1. Is he actually serious right now? Crowd voice 2. Get your phone out. Get your phone out. Marcus. Honestly. It's a relief to finally say it out loud. Do any of you know how exhausting it is? Dating a woman who tracks every receipt and irons her own blouses because she refuses to hire help. I need someone who can actually keep pace with the life I'm building. Sophia can keep pace with that life. Elena. Marcus. Stop talking, please. Marcus. Plain. Predictable. Careful with every penny. That's what you are, Elena. A woman built for a spreadsheet, not for a room like this one. Crowd voice 3. Oh my God, he's filming her face. Look at this. Rita. Pushing through the crowd. Elena, honey, come away from him. Come stand with me. Elena. To Marcus. You could have just told me the truth in private. You didn't have to do this in front of 200 people. Marcus. Private conversations never taught you anything, Elena. Maybe this will. Narrator. 100 phones rose like a firing squad. Every flash felt like it was stripping something else away from me. My name, my composure, the last fragile piece of the woman who still believed, right up until that moment, that she was loved. Elena, whispering to herself, don't cry. Do not let them see you cry. Greta. Elena, sweetheart, come with me right now. We'll get you a coat and we'll go. Nobody deserves this kind of a night. Elena. In a minute, Greta. I need 1 more minute. Greta. There is nothing left here worth staying for. Look at me. Elena. I know. I just need to see this through to whatever comes next on my own terms before I let anyone lead me out of this room. Greta. You're allowed to grieve later, Elena. Right now, just breathe. Elena. I'm breathing, Greta. I promise you, I am breathing. Narrator. That's when I saw him. Across the room, near the tall windows overlooking the harbor, standing so still that the chaos of the party seemed to bend and part around him like water around a stone. Elena. Whispering. Greta. Don't stare, Elena. Whoever that is, everyone in this room is deliberately not looking at him, and there's a reason for that. Crowd voice 1. That's Adrian Volkov. Nobody approaches that man unless he decides to approach them first. Elena. Volkov. I've heard that name whispered in board meetings before, always followed by someone changing the subject very quickly. Crowd voice 1. You've heard it because everyone in this city has heard it, and everyone in this city knows enough to keep their distance. Narrator. 6 men in dark, immaculate suits stood near him, scanning the crowd with the patient boredom of wolves who hadn't yet decided the herd was worth their trouble. He wasn't checking his phone. He wasn't laughing along with anyone's small talk. He was watching me, and had apparently been watching the entire humiliating scene from its very first ugly word. To yourself, steady. I have nothing left to lose tonight. I might as well lose it spectacularly on my own terms for once. Greta. Elena, whatever that look on your face means, I don't like it. Elena. Neither do I, Greta. But I'm doing it anyway. Greta. Whatever it is, please, just be careful. Elena. I've spent 3 years being careful, Greta. Look where that got me. Narrator. I don't remember consciously deciding to cross that ballroom. I remember only the sound of my heels against the marble, one deliberate step after another, and the way the noise of the crowd dimmed as people realized exactly where I was walking. Elena. I need you to do something for me. Right now. Adrian. Do I know you? Elena. And in about 3 seconds, that particular detail is going to stop mattering to either of us. Narrator. I grabbed his lapels before his men could so much as blink, before he could ask another question, and I kissed him, hard, deliberate, right there in front of Marcus, in front of 200 witnesses, in front of every camera in that ballroom. Crowd voice 3. Crowd voice 3. Did she just say Victor? Sir. Narrator. The silence that followed was the loudest sound I have ever experienced. I felt, more than saw, 6 hands drift towards 6 concealed holsters, waiting only for a signal that never came. Elena. Pulling back, breathless. I am so sorry. I shouldn't have. I just needed. Adrian. Don't apologize yet, little bird. Not until you see how this particular story ends. Elena. Little bird. Is that supposed to be an insult? Adrian. It's an observation. Small things that fly straight into danger without looking rarely realize how dangerous the sky actually is. Elena. I looked. I just decided it didn't matter tonight. Adrian. That's either the bravest thing I've heard all year or the most foolish. I haven't decided which yet. Elena. Turning loud toward Marcus. Marcus. I want you to meet someone. This is who I've actually been seeing. I only stayed with you as long as I did because I felt sorry for you. Marcus, you're joking. You don't know him. You don't know anyone even remotely like him. Elena, don't I? Narrator. I turned back to Adrian, half expecting him to shove me away, to let his men quietly remove the reckless woman who had just humiliated the most feared man in the room. Instead, his arm slid around my waist, slow and deliberate, pulling me flush against him as though we'd rehearsed this moment a dozen times. Adrian, cold, faintly amused. Every word of it is true. You've simply been very discreet about it. Marcus. I didn't. Elena never once mentioned. That tends to be the entire point of discretion, Marcus. Narrator. He knew Marcus's name. I hadn't said it aloud. That single detail should have frightened me far more than it did in that moment. Sophia, whispering. Marcus, who is that man? Why do you look like you've seen a ghost? Marcus, barely audible. Because I think I just made a very serious mistake. Crowd voice 2. I don't believe it. Elena Cross and Adrian Volkov. Crowd voice 3. I didn't even know she knew people like that. Crowd voice 1. Apparently neither did Marcus from the look on his face. Narrator. I could feel the entire room recalculating who I was in real time, and for once, the attention didn't feel like humiliation. It felt like armor. Marcus. Wait. Volkov. You're... Oh God, I had no idea she was with you. None at all. Adrian. Would knowing have changed anything you said tonight? Marcus. No. I mean, yes. I need to leave. There's somewhere I have to be right now. Sophia. Marcus, wait, what is happening? Why are you suddenly so pale? Marcus. We are leaving. Right now. Narrator. I watched him nearly sprint from the ballroom, dragging Sophia along by the wrist, his face the color of old milk. For one glorious undeserved second, I felt lighter than I had in years. Elena. Turning back, pulling gently away from Adrian. Thank you, truly. I have no idea what came over me tonight, and I am deeply sorry for dragging you into it. I'll go now. Crowd voice 2. Did you see that? He actually let her use him like that. Crowd voice 1. Nobody uses Adrian Volkov for anything. He allowed that. There's a difference. Crowd voice 3. Either way, that woman just became the most interesting person at this party. Rita. Finding Elena's arm. Elena. Elena, what on earth did you just do? Elena. I have absolutely no idea, Greta. I genuinely don't. Rita. That man doesn't play along with anyone. Not for money. Not for favors. Not for anything I've ever heard of. Why would he play along with you? Elena. I don't know. But I don't think this is over yet. Greta. What makes you say that? Elena. Because he still hasn't let go of my wrist. Brienne. You're not going anywhere just yet. Elena. I'm sorry. Narrator. His grip on my wrist tightened, gentle enough to leave no mark, firm enough that I understood immediately I was no longer the one making decisions in this particular story. Brienne. You used me as a prop this evening, in front of 200 witnesses, in front of men who report every single thing they observe to people who would love nothing more than to see you. You understand what you've just done? Elena. I didn't think it through, no. Adrian. No. Do you even know who I am? Elena. Some very rich man with terrifying friends and worse manners. Adrian. Low, almost entertained. Careful, little bird. I run this city's underworld. Every deal, every debt, every disappearance you have ever read about and assumed was fiction. That was very often me. Elena. Voice trembling but holding. Then let me go, and we can both agree to forget this ever happened. Brienne. You made a scene with the wrong man tonight, Elena Cross. Nobody forgets anything that involves me. You used me as a weapon. Now you're going to learn exactly what it costs to hold one. Victor. Sir, the car is ready. Adrian. Good. She's coming with us. Narrator. The car was blacked out and silent, except for the low hum of the engine and my own heartbeat pounding somewhere in my throat. Elena. Look, whatever this is, I can pay you back. I have savings. Not much, but something. Adrian. How much exactly? Elena. About $4,000. Gran. A short, humorless laugh. I spend more than that on funeral flowers for people I never intended to attend the funerals of. Elena. Then what could you possibly want from me? Adrian. Patience. We're nearly there. Narrator. The gates ahead rose 12 feet high, iron and unyielding, flanked by men who didn't so much as glance at the car before waving it through without a word. Elena. Quiet. Where exactly am I? Somewhere you should feel very grateful to be standing, rather than somewhere considerably less pleasant. Elena. You still haven't told me what happens to me once we're through those gates. Adrian. We'll discuss terms once we're inside. For now, simply understand that nothing happens to you tonight that you don't ultimately agree to. Elena. That's a strange kind of comfort, coming from a man who just kidnapped me. Adrian. I prefer the word escorted. It carries considerably less paperwork. Elena. I'm sure it does. Victor. We're through the perimeter, sir. Adrian. Take her to the east study. I'll join her shortly. Adrian. Sit. Elena. I'd rather stand, thank you. Adrian. I wasn't asking a second time. Narrator. I sat. The folder waited on the desk between us, thick and official, my name already printed neatly across the top, as though he had somehow known exactly how this entire evening would unfold before I even crossed that ballroom. Adrian. You told an entire room of witnesses that you and I are involved. That story is already halfway across this city, which means every rival I have now believes I possess a weakness. I intend to make that story true, on paper, for exactly 1 month. You will attend every event I require as my fiancée. In exchange, I will ensure your name is remembered for something other than tonight's humiliation. Elena. I'm not signing anything you put in front of me. Brienne. Then I suppose Marcus keeps his company, his investors, and his comfortable little life with Sophia, entirely uninterrupted. Elena, a pause. You would actually do that? Ruin him completely? Adrian. I was already planning to, out of simple boredom. You would merely be giving me a reason I can genuinely enjoy. Elena. Quiet, then firmer. 1 month. And then I disappear from your life completely. No further obligations. Adrian. 1 month. Sign here, little bird. Adrian. There's a second clause you should read carefully before you sign anything else tonight. Elena. What kind of clause? Adrian. Discretion. Nothing you witness inside this house leaves it. Not to friends, not to journalists, not to yourself in some private diary you think no one will ever find. Elena. I don't keep diaries, Adrian. I keep receipts, apparently, according to Marcus. Adrian. A faint, unwilling smirk. Then you'll have no trouble with this particular clause. Elena. And if I break it? Adrian. You won't. People who break agreements with me rarely get the opportunity to explain why. Elena. That's not remotely reassuring. It isn't meant to be reassuring. It's meant to be true. Narrator. My hand hovered over that pen longer than I'd like to admit. Then I signed, and felt the entire shape of my life shift beneath me. Escorting Elena. This will be your room for the duration of the arrangement, Miss Cross. If you need anything, there's a phone by the bed connected directly to the staff line. Elena. Does everyone here call it an arrangement, or is that just Adrian's word for it? Victor. It's the word he prefers. I'd get used to hearing it often. Elena. And what do you call it, Victor? A pause, careful. I call it the first time I've seen him hesitate before signing anything in 15 years of working for him. Elena. That doesn't sound like a man who's simply protecting his reputation. Victor. No, Miss Cross. It doesn't. Does it? Narrator. He left before I could ask anything further, and I sat alone in that enormous, unfamiliar room, wondering exactly what I had actually agreed to sign my name to. Narrator. I woke the next morning in a guest room larger than my old apartment, sunlight spilling across sheets that had likely cost more than I meant to read. My phone was already buzzing before I'd opened my eyes. Marcus, frantic, through the phone. Elena. Elena, pick up, please. I need you to call him off. Elena. Call who off, Marcus? Marcus. Volkov. Every single investor pulled out of my company this morning. All of them within an hour of each other. My board is calling an emergency session. Elena. Please, tell him it was a misunderstanding. Elena. Calm, almost surprised at her own steadiness. I don't control what he decides to do. Marcus. You have to control it. You're involved with him, aren't you? Use that. Do something. Anything. Elena. You called me boring last night, Marcus. Predictable. Built for a spreadsheet. I think I'll let the spreadsheet handle this particular problem. Marcus. Elena, please, I'm begging you. Elena. Goodbye, Marcus. Narrator. I hung up before he could say another word. My hand was shaking, but for the first time in longer than I could remember, it wasn't shaking from fear. Victor. Volkov has arranged a team for you, Miss Cross. They'll arrive within the hour. Elena. A team for what, exactly? Narrator. The team turned out to be 5 people carrying garment bags, and by the time they finished, I no longer recognized the woman staring back at me in the mirror. Modest cardigans replaced with silk. Hair, always pulled back for convenience, now falling in soft waves I hadn't bothered with in years. Stylist. One final fitting. Volkov would like to see the finished look before tonight's dinner. Elena. Does he usually review every detail personally? Stylist. For most things, no. For you, apparently yes. Narrator. When I stepped into his study wearing the deep red gown they had chosen, Adrian looked up from a stack of papers, and for one entirely unguarded second, the ice in his expression cracked clean through. Adrian. Quiet, almost to himself. Well. Elena. Is that a compliment or a complaint? Adrian. Recovering, voice cooling again. It's adequate. We leave in 20 minutes. Narrator. But I had already seen it, that flicker, and despite every warning bell in my head, I found myself wondering, quite foolishly, whether I might get to see it again. Stylist. Quietly, as they packed up. He doesn't usually react to anything, Not like that. Yelena, I noticed. Stylist. Just something worth knowing, Miss Cross, whatever you decide to do with it. Narrator. I called Greta that night, mostly because I needed to hear a voice that had known me before any of this happened. Greta. Elena? Elena. Is that actually you? I've been calling for days. I'm sorry. It's been complicated. Greta. Complicated. That's one word for it. There are rumors flying around the office that you're seeing Adrian Volkov. Actual rumors, Elena. Not the usual gossip about who took an extra lunch break. Elena. They're not entirely wrong. Greta. A long pause. Elena, do you have any idea who that man is? Elena. Elena. Greta. He isn't the sort of man you casually date, sweetheart. He's the sort of man people cross the street to avoid making eye contact with. Elena. I know how it looks, Greta. I promise you, I know exactly how reckless this seems from the outside. Greta. Then tell me it isn't reckless from the inside either. Elena. A pause. Honest. I can't tell you that yet. But I can tell you that for the first time in years, I feel like someone is actually paying attention to whether I'm safe. Greta. That's not nothing, Elena. But please, be careful. Whatever this is, be careful with your whole heart, not just half of it. Elena. I'll try, Greta. I promise you, I'll try. Narrator. By the second week, whispers had already spread through every corner of the underworld. Adrian Volkov, untouchable for the better part of a decade, had finally revealed something that looked very much like a weakness. A woman. Victor. Sir, there's something you need to see immediately. Brian. What is it, Victor? Victor. A note. Left on the inside of Miss Cross's bedroom window. Inside the estate itself, sir. Inside the perimeter we swept only hours ago. Elena. Reading aloud, voice unsteady. Every king falls, the moment his queen is taken from him. Brian. Very quiet. Who signed it? Victor. No name on the note, but the paper stock. It's Kessler's. Dmitri Kessler. Elena. Someone got inside your own house, Adrian. That's not supposed to be possible, is it? Dran. A long, dangerous silence. It shouldn't have been possible at all. Victor. I'll double the perimeter tonight, sir, and review every camera from the last 48 hours. Adrian. Do it, and find out exactly how Kessler's men got past 24 guards without a single alarm sounding. Elena. Who is he exactly? Kessler. Adrian. A man who has wanted my territory for a decade and never had the nerve to take it outright. He prefers to work in the spaces between things. Favors, debts, small cruelties that add up slowly until you notice you've already lost. Elena. And now he thinks you have a weakness he can use. Adrian. He thinks correctly, unfortunately. Elena. You could just tell everyone I mean nothing to you. End the story before it goes any further. Adrian. I could, but I find, rather inconveniently, that it wouldn't be true anymore. Narrator. I didn't have an answer for that. I don't think he expected one. Brienne. Pack whatever you need from that room immediately. You are not sleeping there again. Elena. Adrian. It's just a piece of paper. You're overreacting. Brienne. A man walked through 12 feet of iron gate, 24 armed guards, and 3 separate checkpoints to leave a note on your windowsill. That is not simply a piece of paper. That is a message, and I intend to answer it personally. Elena. Where exactly am I supposed to sleep instead? Brienne. The East Wing. Beside my own room, where I can hear if anything moves that shouldn't be moving. Elena. You're being ridiculous, Adrian. Brienne. I have buried men for considerably less than what Kessler just did tonight. You will stay where I can protect you properly, and you will not argue with me about this particular point. Elena. Quieter now. You really think he'd try to take me? Brienne. I think men like Kessler only understand what they can take from someone else. I don't intend to give him the opportunity. Elena. If I agree to this, does it mean I'm trapped here even more than before? Brienne. It means you're protected here even more than before. There's a difference, whether you believe me yet or not. Elena. I'm not sure I do believe you yet. Adrian. Then believe the guards outside your new door instead. Believe the men who will be watching every entrance to this estate tonight because I ordered it. Whether or not you trust my words, trust the effort behind them. Narrator. I wanted to be angry at the command in his voice. Instead, standing in that cavernous hallway, all I could think about was how Marcus had never once, in 3 entire years, looked half as afraid for my safety as this stranger looked in that single moment. Narrator. My new room was twice the size of my old apartment, with a window that looked directly out over the estate's back gardens, and a door that connected, disconcertingly, to a narrow hallway leading straight to his. Victor. If you need anything during the night, Miss Cross, there's a guard stationed at the end of this hall at all times. Elena. Is that meant to make me feel safer, or simply remind me I'm being watched? Victor. Both, if I'm honest. Volkov would say there's no meaningful difference between the two right now. Elena. Does he trust you completely, Victor? Turk. As much as he trusts anyone, which is to say more than most, and still not entirely. Elena. Elena. That sounds like a lonely way to live. Victor. It is. I imagine that's part of why he's never let anyone this close before you arrived. Now, I sat by that window long after Victor left, watching the guards move like slow shadows across the lawn below, and wondered how a man surrounded by so many people could still seem so completely alone. Narrator. He came back that night with his jacket torn and a gash along his shoulder that he was clearly intent on ignoring entirely. Elena. You're bleeding, Adrian. Sit down. Adrian. It's nothing. I've had considerably worse than this. Elena. I didn't ask whether you've had worse. I asked you to sit down. Narrator. He sat, more out of surprise than obedience, I suspect, and let me clean the wound with hands that had not stopped trembling since I'd watched him walk through that door. Adrian. You don't have to do this for me. Elena. I'm aware that I don't. I'm doing it regardless. Adrian. Quiet. Why? You've seen enough of what I am by now to run from this house, not sit here bandaging me inside it. Elena. Perhaps I should be running, but you moved me into the East Wing because you were afraid something might happen to me. Nobody has been afraid for my safety in a very long time, Adrian. I honestly don't quite know what to do with that feeling yet. Narrator. His hand closed gently over mine, stilling it against his shoulder, and for a long, quiet moment, neither one of us said another word. Elena. Can I ask you something, Adrian? Adrian. You can ask. I make no promises about answering. Elena. Have you ever actually been afraid of anything before all of this happened? Adrian. Once. A long time ago, before I ran anything at all. I watched my father lose everything he had built because he trusted the wrong man with it. Elena. Is that why you don't trust anyone now? Adrian. It's why I decided very early that trust would always be earned in this house, never assumed. You're the first person in a long time who's made me reconsider that particular rule. Elena. I don't know whether to be flattered or worried by that. Adrian. Honestly, little bird, I'd recommend a bit of both. Narrator. He smiled then, small and unguarded, and for the first time since that terrible night at the gala, the space between us felt like something other than a negotiation. Adrian. Finally. Get some rest, Elena. Tomorrow will require both of us at our best. Marcus. On the phone, low and urgent. Kessler. It's Rhea. We spoke last week, through your associate. Dimitri. You have useful information, or you're simply wasting my time. Marcus. Volkov's woman. Elena. I know her habits, her routines, every detail about her life before he took her. I can get your people close. Dimitri. And what precisely do you want in return for this generosity? Marcus. My company back. My reputation too. And when this is finally over, I want to watch him lose absolutely everything he took from me. Dimitri. A slow, considering pause. You're a bitter little man, Reyes. Marcus. I'm a useful one. That should matter considerably more than my mood. Dimitri. We'll see about that. Bring me a time and a location, and we'll discuss exactly how useful you truly are. Sophia. Later, to Marcus. Who was that man on the phone? You've been pale for an hour. Marcus. Someone who can fix everything Volkov broke. Sophia. Marcus, whatever you're planning, please don't. That family destroyed you once already this month. I don't want to watch it happen twice. Marcus. I'm not asking for your permission, Sophia. I'm telling you what's going to happen, Sophia. Then I hope you know exactly what you're inviting into both our lives. Marcus. I know precisely what I'm inviting in. I intend to make sure it lands on someone else's doorstep, not mine. Narrator. I didn't know it yet, but somewhere across the city that night, my former fiancé had just traded whatever remained of his conscience for one chance to watch me suffer. Brienne. Tonight, everyone in that room will know precisely what you are to me. No more pretending. No more careful contracts hiding the truth. Alina. Adrian, that isn't part of our original arrangement. Adrian. Arrangements can change, little bird. Stay close to me tonight, no matter what happens. Narrator. He was pulled away almost immediately by men in expensive suits demanding his attention, and in the 30 seconds it took him to cross that room, a familiar hand closed around my arm from behind. Marcus. Alina. We need to talk. Right now. Let go of me, Marcus. Marcus. Just listen to me for one moment. I know exactly what he is. I know precisely what you've gotten yourself into. Come with me right now, and I can get you out before it's too late for both of us. Elena. Get me out? You are the entire reason any of this happened in the first place. Marcus. I am trying to save you from a monster, Elena. Marcus. Elena, please, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. Elena. You've had 3 years of minutes, Marcus. I don't owe you 5 more. Marcus. I made a mistake. A terrible one, I know that now. But I still care what happens to you, even after everything. Elena. If you truly cared what happened to me, you wouldn't have humiliated me in front of 200 people, and you certainly wouldn't be standing here right now trying to drag me away from a party like I'm some kind of runaway property. Marcus. That man is dangerous, Elena. I've heard things, terrible things about what he's capable of, Elena. I've seen what you're capable of firsthand, Marcus. I don't need secondhand rumors to know exactly where the real danger in my life has always come from. Marcus, you're not thinking clearly. This isn't the woman I knew. Elena. No, it isn't. The woman you knew is finally gone. I hope you enjoy meeting whoever replaced her. Elena. Sharp. A monster. You want to talk to me about monsters, Marcus. Marcus. Elena, please. Elena. You cheated on me in a room full of our closest friends, then mocked me in front of 200 strangers because it was easier than admitting you were the actual problem. You are the only monster I have ever needed saving from. Not him. You. Narrator. I slapped him then, hard enough that the sound cut clean through the noise of the party around us, hard enough to shake something loose in my chest that had been sitting there, unmoved, for years. Elena, I will never come back to you. Not for money. Not out of fear. Not for any reason at all. Do you understand me clearly? Gran, from behind, quiet and dark. She's made herself entirely clear, Marcus. I'd suggest you listen this time for your own sake. Narrator. I turned to find him standing there, arms crossed, a smile on his face that carried absolutely nothing warm inside it. Brienne. Everyone, if I could have your attention for a single moment. Crowd voice 2. Is that Volkov speaking? Brienne. Marcus Reyes has been generous enough to share certain information with a rival of mine tonight in exchange for money and protection. What he perhaps didn't share with any of you is where that money actually originated. 3 years of falsified expense reports, quietly siphoned out of his own company's accounts. Marcus. That's not, you cannot possibly prove any of that. Drian. Victor. Already forwarded to the board, the financial press, and the district attorney's office, sir. Marcus. Elena, please, tell them this is some kind of mistake. Elena. It isn't a mistake, Marcus. It's a consequence finally arriving. Crowd voice 3. I always knew there was something off about his numbers. Crowd voice 1. Imagine trying to sell out a woman like that for money and getting caught in the same night. Sophia. Quietly, to no one in particular, I need to leave. I need to leave right now. Narrator. Security dragged him out screaming denials that nobody in that entire room believed for a single second. By morning, his name would be a punchline rather than a headline, and I felt not the smallest flicker of guilt about any of it. Gran. To Elena, low. Are you all right? Elena. I think, for the first time in months, I actually am. Narrator. The walk back to the car should have taken 30 seconds. It took considerably longer, and turned out considerably worse than either of us expected. Victor. Smoke. Everyone get down now. Gran. Elena. Narrator. The world turned white and choking in an instant. Gunfire cracking somewhere close by, hands grabbing at my arms through the haze before I could even scream his name a second time. Adrian. Distant, furious, desperate. Elena. Where is she? Find her right now. Narrator. The last thing I remember is a cloth pressed hard against my mouth and the sound of Adrian's voice, raw, and breaking in a way I never once imagined that voice could break, fading slowly into the dark along with everything else around me. Victor. Shouting, distant. Sir, they took her through the service exit. There's a van, plate partially obscured. Adrian. Get every man we have on that road. Now. Victor. Sir, we've got eyes on the van's route through 3 separate cameras. It's heading toward the old dockside warehouses. Adrian. Then that's where we're going. Now. Victor. We should call in more men first. Kessler will have this plan to the last detail. Walking in blind is exactly what he wants to do. ADR. I don't care what he means. Every minute we spend planning is a minute she spends in a room with Marcus Reyes and Dmitry Kessler. Victor. I understand, sir. But if something happens to you in there, she has no one left to come for her at all. Ryan. A long, tense silence. Then make sure nothing happens to me, Victor. Get the cars ready. We leave in 5 minutes, with or without the reinforcements. Victor. Understood, sir. 5 minutes. Narrator. I found out later that he hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, hadn't sat down once in the 3 hours it took to trace that van. He simply stood at the edge of his own fury, waiting for a door to open so he could finally do something with it. Narrator. I woke up bound to a chair, my head pounding, and 2 very familiar shapes standing over me in the dim, flickering light of an abandoned warehouse. Dmitry. Miss Cross. Do accept my apologies for the accommodations. Elena. Marcus. Of course it would be you standing there. Marcus. This didn't have to happen this way, Elena. If you'd simply come with me at the gala. Elena. You sold me to a man like this for money, Marcus. Don't pretend for 1 second that you were ever trying to save me. Dmitry. Holding up her phone. We're going to send your Adrian a very simple message. He comes alone, unarmed, or you do not leave this room breathing. Elena. Steady, though her voice shakes slightly. You have absolutely no idea what you've just done here tonight. Dmitry. Enlighten me then. Elena. You've made him afraid for what might be the very first time in his life. Men like Adrian Volkov don't grow careful when they're frightened. They grow considerably worse. Marcus. She's bluffing, Dmitry. She doesn't know anything about him. Elena. I know enough, Marcus. I know he tore a man's entire empire apart with 1 phone call because that man insulted me at a party. Imagine what he does to a man who actually takes me somewhere against my will. Dmitry. Bold words for someone tied to a chair, Miss Cross. Elena. They're not bold. They're simply accurate. You'll see soon enough which one of us was right about tonight. Dmitry. To his men. Get the phone ready. Let's find out how much this bravado is actually worth to him. Narrator. The warehouse door did not open quietly. It came off its hinges entirely, torn sideways in a shriek of twisting metal, and Adrian walked through the wreckage like the storm outside had personally decided to follow him in. Dmitry. You came alone. Bold of you. Or perhaps simply stupid. Adrian. Soft, terrifyingly calm. I never needed anyone else for something like this. Narrator. Gunfire erupted almost immediately, but Adrian moved through it as though he had already memorized every angle of that room in the 10 seconds since the door came down. Men fell before they had even finished raising their weapons. Adrian. Standing over Dmitry, rain and blood streaked across his face. You put your hands on my woman. Dmitry. Backing away, hands raised. Volkov, surely we can discuss terms here. Adrian. There are no terms left to discuss. Kessler. There is only what happens next. Victor. Over comms. Sir, east side is clear. We're moving in behind you. Adrian. Copy. Elena is somewhere in the back office, I'd wager. Kessler wouldn't keep her out in the open. Dmitry. Backing further away. You're outnumbered, Volkov. Whatever you think you saw walking through that door. Adrian. I don't need numbers, Kessler. I only need one direction to walk in, and I already know exactly which one that is. Narrator. He didn't wait for an answer. He simply moved, fast and precise, cutting through the last of Kessler's men like they were an afterthought standing between him and the only thing that mattered that night. Marcus, panicked, grabbing at Elena. Stay back. I swear I'll use her, I mean it. Elena, twisting, biting down hard on his hand. Get off of me, Marcus. Marcus. Ah, you little. Narrator. The moment his grip loosened, I shoved him with every ounce of strength I had left, sending him stumbling directly into the crossfire he himself had spent weeks quietly orchestrating for someone else entirely. Dimitri. Reyes, you absolute idiot, get out of the way. Marcus. A strangled cry, and then silence. Narrator. I didn't look. I didn't need to. Some endings, you feel far more than you ever actually see. Adrian, rushing toward her, gun still smoking in his hand. Elena. Elena, look at me. Are you hurt anywhere at all? Elena, I'm fine. I promise you, Adrian, I'm fine. You bit him. You actually bit him. Elena. You would have preferred, I asked politely? Adrian. A short, disbelieving laugh, despite the chaos around them. No, I think I preferred exactly what you did. Victor. Sir, we need to move. There are still men unaccounted for on the east side. Adrian. Stay behind me, Elena. Whatever happens next, stay behind me. Dimitri. Dragged forward by Victor's men. Volkov, please. We can end this like reasonable businessmen. Adrian. You stopped being any kind of businessman the moment your men touched what belongs to me. Marcus, weakly from the floor, clutching a wound. Elena. Elena, please. Remember what we once had together. Please. Tell him to show me some mercy here. Narrator. I looked down at the man I had once planned an entire future around and felt absolutely nothing at all. Not hatred. Not pity. Only a quiet, final kind of emptiness where love used to live. He went flat, turning to Adrian. Do whatever you want with him. Adrian. A small, satisfied nod. As you wish, little bird. Dimitri. Desperate to Adrian. Volkov. We could still come to terms. There's still time to walk away from this as businessmen. Adrian. You keep insisting on that word. Businessmen negotiate. What you did tonight wasn't negotiation. It was a declaration of war against something I intend to protect for the rest of my life. Dimitri. Then finish it and be done with the theatrics. Adrian. I don't do theatrics, Kessler. I do consequences. Narrator. I turned away before I saw what happened next. Some things I decided in that moment I simply did not need to carry with me afterward. Victor. Perimeter is fully secure, sir. Kessler's remaining men are down or already in custody. This syndicate won't trouble us again. Adrian. Good work, Victor. Narrator. He dropped his weapon the instant Victor confirmed it, crossing the room in 3 long, urgent strides, and for the very first time since I'd met him, Adrian Volkov looked genuinely, completely undone. Adrian. Hands trembling as he checked her arms, her wrists, her face. Are you hurt anywhere? Tell me the truth, Elena. All of it. Elena. I'm all right, Adrian. Only a small scrape. I promise you that. Adrian. Voice breaking slightly. When they took you, I thought I had lost the one thing in this entire life I actually wanted to keep for myself. Elena. You didn't lose me. I'm right here, Adrian. Victor. Sir, we should get her back to the estate. It isn't safe to linger here. Adrian. Give me one moment, Victor. Elena. Quietly, into his shoulder. You came alone. You didn't even wait for backup. Adrian. Waiting was never an option I was willing to consider tonight. Elena. That was reckless, Adrian. Adrian. I'd do it again without a second thought. Narrator. He pulled me against him then, so tightly I could feel his heart racing beneath the ruined fabric of his shirt, and for once, neither one of us felt any need to say another word. Narrator. Back at the estate, he insisted on treating the small cut on my cheek himself, his hands surprisingly gentle for a man who, only an hour earlier, had torn a warehouse door completely off its hinges. Adrian. I've buried rivals without so much as blinking, Elena. I've walked away from funerals of men who trusted me completely. Tonight, watching that van disappear with you inside it, I felt something I haven't felt since I was a boy. Elena. What was that feeling? Adrian. Fear. Real fear. Not for myself. For you entirely. Elena. Adrian. The contract was never truly about protecting my reputation. I told myself that story because it was far easier than admitting the truth out loud. Elena. And what is the truth exactly? Adrian. The truth is that I wanted an excuse to keep you close to me, and I was too proud to simply ask for one honestly. Elena. Softly. You could have just asked, you know. Adrian. I'm asking now. Better late than never, I suppose. Elena. What exactly are you asking, Adrian? Adrian. To stop pretending this was ever only about a month, or a contract, or protecting either of our reputations. I'm asking you to stay because I want you here, plainly, without any of the excuses I hid behind before tonight. Narrator. I woke before he did, for once, and found him sitting at the edge of the bed already, staring out at the gardens like he hadn't slept at all. Elena. You're up early. Adrian. I never went to sleep, if I'm honest. Elena. Still thinking about last night. Adrian. Still thinking about every version of last night that could have ended differently. There were a dozen ways that warehouse could have gone, and only one of them ended with you walking out of it. Elena. But I did walk out of it, because of you. I keep telling myself that. It isn't quite sinking in yet. Elena. Then let it sink in slowly, Adrian. We have time now. Adrian. Quiet. Do we, though? Time isn't something men in my position are usually given generously. Elena. Then we'll take what we're given, and refuse to waste a single hour of it arguing about how much there is. Narrator. He looked at me then the way you look at something you're afraid to believe is actually real, and for a long moment neither of us moved at all. Narrator. The next morning, he placed a small stack of items on the table between us. My passport, a bank card loaded with more money than I would earn in a decade, and a single signed document. Adrian. A cancellation of our original contract, effective immediately, no conditions attached. Elena. I don't understand, Adrian. Adrian. You're free and no debts remaining, no obligations, no danger following you because of any connection to me. Take it, and go build the life you should have had before any of this ever happened to you. Elena. Staring at the papers for a long moment. You're genuinely offering me a way out of all of this. Adrian. I owe you at least that much. Likely far more than that if I'm honest with myself. Adrian. You don't have to decide right now. Take a week, a month, if you need it. I won't come looking for an answer. Elena. You'd really just let me walk away without a single word of protest. Adrian. I've protested plenty of things in my life before, I'd rather not try that particular approach with you. Elena. That might be the most honest thing you've ever said to me. Adrian. I've found, rather recently, that honesty suits me better than I expected it to. Narrator. I looked at the papers, at the money, at the easy, complicated freedom he was offering me on a silver tray without hesitation. Then I tore the cancellation document cleanly in half, right in front of him. Elena. I don't want the way out, Adrian. Adrian. Quiet, almost disbelieving. Say that again, please. Elena. That first kiss at the gala. That part truly was an accident. Reckless, and honestly, more than a little insane. But staying here, choosing this, choosing you, that isn't an accident at all. That's a decision, and I'm making it with my eyes completely open this time. Adrian. You understand exactly what my life is, Elena. What it will always cost you to stand beside a man like me. Elena. I understand completely. And I'm choosing it anyway, without any regrets. Narrator. He crossed the room and kissed me then. Not the practiced performance we had staged for a room full of strangers months before, but something entirely real. Something that tasted like relief and hunger and years of quiet loneliness finally breaking apart all at once. Adrian. Pulling back only slightly, breathless. Then let's make this official once and for all. No more contracts between us. No more pretending for anyone's benefit. Elena. Is this the part where you tell me all the ways this will still be difficult? Adrian. This is the part where I tell you I no longer care how difficult it becomes, as long as you're standing beside me through it. Elena. That's remarkably close to romantic for a man who once threatened to ruin my ex-fiancée over breakfast. Adrian. I have layers, little bird. You've only just begun uncovering them. Narrator. He slipped a ring onto my finger. A diamond so striking it seemed almost to glow in the low light of that room, and for the first time since that terrible night at the gala, I felt something finally settle inside me. Not fear, not grief. Something closer at long last to home. Narrator. A month later, I stood beside Adrian Volkov at the center of a room filled with the most dangerous people in the entire country, and not one of them dared meet my eyes without lowering their head first. Victor. Quiet to Adrian. The room is yours tonight, sir, as it always has been. Adrian. Glancing toward Elena, the faintest trace of a smile. Tonight, Victor, it belongs to both of us. Elena. Narrating, direct and unwavering. 6 months ago, I was a woman standing utterly alone in a ballroom, humiliated in front of everyone I had ever known, grabbing a stranger's lapels, because I genuinely had nothing left to lose. Elena. Narrating, continued. That stranger turned out to be a Mafia boss, a killer, a man feared by every single person currently standing in this room. Elena. Narrating, continued. But somewhere between the threats and the danger and the countless nights I probably should have run and simply didn't, he also became the only person who ever looked at me and truly saw exactly what I was worth. Rita. Approaching, quiet at the edge of the room. You look like you belong here, Elena. I almost don't recognize you. Elena. Some days I don't recognize myself either, Greta. But I think I finally like who I'm looking at. Rita. For what it's worth, sweetheart, I was wrong to worry so much. He watches you like you're the only steady thing in a very unsteady thing in a very unsteady world. Elena. He is, in his own strange way, exactly that for me too. Adrian. Joining them, offering a hand. Dance with me. Elena. In front of all these people. Adrian. Especially in front of all these people. Let them see exactly what they're dealing with tonight. Narrator. We moved through that room together, past men who had spent decades building empires out of fear, and none of them looked away from us, not out of politeness. Out of respect, finally earned rather than demanded. Victor. Quiet, watching from the doorway. Never thought I'd see the day, sir. Adrian. Glancing back, faint smile. Neither did I, Victor. Neither did I. Elena. Narrating, direct and unwavering. 6 months ago, I was a woman standing utterly alone in a ballroom, humiliated in front of everyone I had ever known, grabbing a stranger's lapels because I genuinely had nothing left to lose. Elena. Narrating, continued. That stranger turned out to be a Mafia boss, a killer, a man feared by every single person currently standing in this room. Elena. Narrating, continued. But somewhere between the threats and the danger and the countless nights I probably should have run and simply didn't, he also became the only person who ever looked at me and truly saw exactly what I was worth. Elena. Narrating, continued. I used to think strength meant never needing anyone. I've learned since that real strength is choosing someone, fully, with your eyes open, even when every reasonable voice in your head tells you to run in the opposite direction. Elena. Narrating, continued. I chose him. Dangerous, imperfect, terrifying to almost everyone but me. And somewhere in the middle of all that danger, I found a version of myself I actually liked standing beside. Elena. Narrating, final. He was a stranger, a Mafia boss, and a killer. But more than anything else in this world, he taught me how to become a queen.